Welcome back to episode 105 of 5 Minutes of X. I am reading every mutant comic Marvel ever made, month by month, and at some point I made a choice, and now choices are no longer available to me. This week, Marvel starts a transition to new leadership and a new bullpen. May of 1972 brought 3 books containing an X-Gene, though one was a reprint. Both the Avengers number 102 and the Submariner number 52 were released on May 16th of 1972, and things are happening. This is the last month where Stan Lee was the full-time editor for Marvel Comics. It's not an immediate switch, as there are books that were in flight that Stan still edited, and I think even he wrote a few after this, but the vast majority of comics we talk about on this channel will be edited by another guy starting in June of 72, and you know this guy really well. You'll have to tune in to the next episode to find out who got the promotion. We also get our first Chris Claremont sighting. Well, okay, technically it's our second, as Chris Claremont did get the story credit on X-Men number 59, though I didn't mention it at the time because it was super minor. But here, on Avengers number 102, Chris Claremont, our soon-to-be hero, is on story, with Roy Thomas credited on writing and Rich Buckler on pencils. On Submariner number 52, Bill Everett gets a double credit here on both writing and art, though he's listed oddly as just producer. Mike Friedrich gets that same producer credit, but is assistant on writing. The whole thing is kind of weird. The whole bullpen is getting shooken up. The individual pages were not marked, so it's kind of unknown how much writing each of these two dudes did for the actual book itself. Finally, the X-Men number 77 was released on May 23rd, 1972, and it reprinted the X-Men number 29, which I covered here in episode number 40 of 5 Minutes of X. The reprint cover may be better than the OG one simply because it features the X-Peeps instead of Mimic, but to be honest, they're both kind of a snooze. Avengers 102 is split between 2 largely separate storylines. The first involves the return of our impossible nose picker, the Grim Reaper. Viz is apparating his way through seedy New York City alleyways to meet with the Reaper, who has a proposition for him. He wants the Vision to transfer his brain nuggets into the preserved body of the Reaper's deceased brother, Simon Williams. Woo, that's a lot. All right. This is the Wonder Man guy I talked about the last time our resident booger picking champion was in an Avengers issue. Viz is dealing with all the feels, having betrayed his team over his love for Scarlet Witch. He legit seems tempted by the possibility of becoming fully human, but ultimately turns the offer down. Chekhov's amulet is given from the Reaper, and Viz can use it to contact him later. On his way back through the alleyway, Viz soul punches these 2 rather well-dressed street toughs, leaving them crying out for their deities in mental and or physical pain. The second and larger storyline here involves the Sentinels. Hell yeah. Well, we start a Sentinel arc with Scarlet Witch getting out of the shower. In 1972, this panel particularly had me checking that this issue had been approved by the Comics Code Authority. Don't worry, you are safe. Wanda gets dressed and Hawkeye pulls some sexist crap, even kissing her. Obviously, she doesn't want this kiss. Wanda pushes him off, but the timing here is poor, and Viz sees the kiss. He doesn't see Wanda telling Hawkeye to F off and that she loves Vision. So you may remember the last time we saw the Sentinels, they had been executing a scheme to destroy the sun using solar radiation in an attempt to prevent further mutations, thereby saving humanity. Woo, that was a lot. While the X-Men issue ended with the Sentinels yeeting themselves into the sun, apparently that did not kill them, something I didn't know about until I read this Avengers issue. Their return makes the news, and Pietro diddly back to the last time the Sentinels were reactivated by Larry Trask in those X-Men issues. Then they captured several mutants, including him and Wanda, and even the X-Men couldn't stop them. And we even get a quick cameo from Beast and Iceman here. It's kind of fun to see that. He considers warning the rest of the Avengers team and asking to be protected, but his pride won't let him. Kind of weird there. Instead of working out his fears and feelings, he questions Wanda as she heads out for an evening stroll in Central Park. She's all dressed up and seems to be in good mood, joking that they should leave a talk show on for her when she gets back. Pietro asks if she really intends to walk through Central Park at night dressed like that. Bad look. She reminds him that he promised to stop mothering her. Also, Wanda is way more powerful than Quicksilver, so don't know what's going on there. The Vision is doing some sulking in an Avengers HQ window when he spots a Sentinel closing in on Wanda and flies off to intercept. In the park, he fires energy beams at the robot. Wanda, already grabbed, warns him that the Sentinel will adopt to his powers, and it does right away, analyzing his solar battery and siphoning it off, dropping Vision to the ground. Quicksilver arrives and hammers the Sentinel from behind at full speed, but it barely registers, and Wanda tells him to run. Pietro, of course, refuses. Blood is thicker than plastic, he says, in a dig at the Vision, who's laying on the ground. The rest of the Avengers pile in, but Thor and Iron Man have to hold back their powers to avoid hitting Wanda, and none of it is enough. The Sentinel teleports away with her, and she is gone. Quicksilver does this stupid thing where he says that he'll find her himself and turns away his teammates. This has been done before in this book, and it annoys me every time it's done. We end the issue with the team walking away from Quicksilver crying on the beach. Okay, moving on to Submariner. We get the second appearance of Sunfire right here on the cover. It's pretty cool. We open with Namor heading to the surface world with his younger cousin, Namorita. Oh, Lord. Okay. They're in search of Betty Dean, a human ex of Namor's, who he wants to now be Namorita's guardian. But before we can explore that weird relationship further, we are introduced to Sunfire reintroduced, I should say, as he works for the Dragon Lord, a villain who is very interested in starting another war with the United States. Again, had the X-Men just hung out with Sunfire while he mourned over the deceased body of his peace-loving father, maybe this could have been skipped. I don't know. Moving along. Sunfire shows off his powerful abilities, and Dragon Lord shows off his bad boy base. We cut back to Namor and his cousin Namorita. Okay, look. I'm not going to say her name anymore. I just can't. It's too dumb. It's just too dumb. Her name from now on this channel is going to be Namor's cousin. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, so Namor and his cousin go to look for his ex-girlfriend Betty in New York City. They don grubby clothes, and Namor gets to show off to his cousin how crappy it is to live among the humans. He's always looking down on humans. They track Betty down to this Japanese island, Krokanawa, where Betty is vacationing. And yes, this does happen to be the same island that Dragon Lord set up his bad boy base, or where the bad boy base, I should say. On the beach, one of Dragon Lord's slave workers escapes and stumbles across Betty. Namor shows up and assumes the man is attacking her and immediately beats this guy up. Before Betty can unrustle Namor's jimmies, Sunfire arrives. He was sent by the Dragon Lord to recapture this escaped slave. Namor's hubris has him believing that this will be an easy opponent, that Sunfire will be, and he is wrong. Sunfire is barely affected by Namor's watery attacks, and Sunfire returns the slave to the Dragon Lord. Namor persists, however, and spies on the bad boy base. He overhears a much larger plot in the works where the Dragon Lord is asking Sunfire to capture a cargo ship loaded with powerful defoliants. Namor knows that this could possibly destroy the ocean and then the whole planet, and so the actual plot of this issue gets underway. A 7.5-page fight over, and well, battle, I guess, under the ocean takes place here, where this time it appears that Sunfire and Namor are a little bit more evenly matched. The fight takes place around this ship that we were talking about earlier, the Santa Clara. Sunfire was ordered to capture it, and during the fight, the ship is damaged and the ocean death goop is released. As the ship begins to sink, the issue ends with the chemicals spreading into the sea and the freighter going down. It's a genuinely grim cliffhanger here for a book starring a guy whose entire deal is protecting the ocean while being an asshole to the entire Marvel universe. So our Avengers story is good. I feel like I've been meh about them lately, maybe. I don't know, rating most in the 6 to 7 range. This is likely an 8 or 9, not quite a banger, but it's legit a good read. Vision is a stone cold badass throughout. Hawkeye is a little lost post being a big boy now that he's back to regular size, but the Sentinel flashback was really well drawn and retold the story really well in a very short form, which I enjoyed. There is an awkward Scarlet Witch squish panel where she appears to be about 8 feet tall, but this art otherwise is really solid. The paneling is creative, especially with Quicksilver's attack. It makes the book feel really kinetic, and all the faces are drawn with really solid emotion throughout. We even get the official hero fail pose at the end of this one. I kind of like that. The story in Submariner is good, not great. Sunfire's whole shtick is not being subservient to anyone and not being part of a team. So him working directly for this Dragon Lord dude is a little out of character, but there's a larger issue here that I didn't really bring up during my recap of the issue. The art in this book, it's regrettably highly racist. All of the Japanese characters, except for Sunfire, are drawn as racist caricatures. And quite frankly, there's no getting around it. By 1972, this should have been just totally unacceptable. I really am just struggling to get past it. It's even worse in the next issue, so we'll see it again here. I'm still going to cover it, but I have to admit here that I'm totally pulled out of the story because of the art. It really sucks too, because the ocean and beach scenes were just so bright and open that I was really hoping to praise the art here, but I just can't. You've earned your X gene for the day. More mutant content than is strictly healthy lives at Jordy.com. New episodes Wednesdays at noon and Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. I have never read Avengers like this before, and I admit now that maybe I should have. Vision is quickly becoming a favorite character of mine, but don't tell anyone. He isn't a mutant, and I don't want anybody to know.